The alarm on my private shuttle screamed 2 hours before I was supposed to hear it, and that single sound changed everything that happened after. My name is Voron Kal, and I own 400 worlds across the Coalition. My meeting on Korvek Station had just collapsed in less than an hour, the buyers walking out over a tariff dispute that should have taken minutes to settle. Furious and restless, I ordered my shuttle to turn back early, 4 hours ahead of my planned arrival. I wanted my own bed, my own silence, my own control over something, anything, after a day that had slipped out of my hands. My estate on Velk Prime rose out of the dark like a blade of light, crystal spires humming with power, gardens tended by machines that never slept, a staff of the finest droids money could license. And one human, a single human named Callum, hired 3 cycles ago as a favor to a trade partner who insisted his species made surprisingly diligent workers. I had never spoken to him. Why would I? He was furniture that happened to move. The estate was dark when my shuttle landed, except for one wing. The east maintenance bay glowed with harsh white light, and a low mechanical whine cut through the silence like something was wrong. Very wrong. My pulse spiked. Nothing in my home was supposed to be active at this hour, and nothing was supposed to be broken either. I moved through the corridors fast, my coat snapping behind me, my mind already racing through worst outcomes: sabotage, espionage, a rival house testing my defenses while I was away. I had enemies who would love nothing more than to catch me exposed, and for one terrible second, I thought I was about to walk into an ambush inside my own house. Instead, I found Callum kneeling over the open chest of my atmospheric regulator, the exact system my own engineers had declared unrepairable only days earlier. They had scheduled a replacement part from 3 systems away, a 6-week wait, a bill that would run into the hundreds of thousands. Wires were strung between his fingers like threads on a loom. A small metal tool was clenched between his teeth. Sparks jumped once, twice, and my heart lurched with every flash of light. For one heartbeat, I thought he was destroying it. Then the 3rd spark settled, and the panel beside him blinked from a warning amber to a calm, steady green. He looked up, unbothered, wiping sweat from his forehead with his forearm. No fear on his face, no panic, just mild focus, the way someone might look up from tying a shoe. "What are you doing to my regulator?" I asked, and my voice came out sharper than I meant. "Fixing it," he said simply. "Your air has been running 6% inefficient for a week. Nobody mentioned it, so I figured I would handle it on my break." 6%. I had not noticed. My engineers had not flagged it as urgent, or perhaps they had noticed and decided a costly replacement was easier than an honest diagnosis. "You are a janitor," I said, and even as the words left me, they sounded thinner than I intended, almost like an accusation aimed at myself. "On paper," he answered, snapping a coupling back into its housing with a clean, satisfying click. "Where I come from, you learn to fix what breaks. Nobody comes to save you. You want heat in winter, you learn wiring. You want clean water, you learn pipes. We do not have replacement shipments arriving from 3 systems away. We have patience, spare parts, and stubbornness." I stood there in my expensive coat, watching a man in a stained gray uniform solve, in minutes, a problem that had cost my entire engineering division days of excuses and a price tag large enough to buy a small ship. "How do you even understand any of this?" I asked. "This is Coalition technology. Your species did not have interstellar travel until we arrived at your world." Callum stood, wiped his hands on a rag hanging from his belt, and shrugged like I had asked him something as simple as the color of the sky. "Wiring is wiring, sir," he said. "Pressure is pressure. Heat moves the same way no matter whose planet built the box around it. Your people just dress it up in fancier housing and charge more for the privilege of understanding it." I did not sleep that night, not from anger, but from something closer to dizziness, like the floor of my own certainty had tilted beneath me. I had built an empire on the belief that skill could always be purchased, that real expertise only ever lived where credentials said it lived. And here was a man who mopped my floors, quietly outperforming an entire paid department without a single piece of paper to prove he was allowed to. By morning, my curiosity had turned into something sharper, something urgent. I needed to know if what I had seen was luck, or if it was something my whole species had been blind to. I called for the estate logs and pulled every maintenance report from the past 3 cycles. What I found made my hands go still over the display. Small repairs, quietly logged under generic maintenance codes, dozens of them, spread across months. A stabilizer fixed 2 days before it was due to fail completely. A water filtration leak sealed before it could flood the lower gardens. A power coupling rewired after it began to overheat in a pattern none of my sensors had caught in time. Each one filed without fanfare, without credit, buried under vague descriptions like general upkeep or routine check. He had been quietly saving my estate from disaster for months, and no one had thought to ask who was doing it. I summoned him to my office that morning. He walked in still in his work uniform, clearly uneasy, glancing at the tall windows and the wide desk like the room itself might judge him. "Sit," I told him. He sat carefully, like the chair might report him for insubordination, just by existing beneath someone like him. "I am reassigning you," I said. "Figured as much," he answered flatly. "I will clear out my locker today." "Not from the estate," I said. "From the maintenance closet. I am placing you in charge of all systems maintenance. Full authority. Full pay grade of a division head." He blinked, and for the first time since I had met him, he looked genuinely caught off guard. "I do not have a degree, sir," he said. "I do not have any of the certificates your people usually require for a position like that." "No," I agreed. "You have something better. You have the strange, stubborn habit of repairing what everyone else believes is beyond saving, because where you come from, nothing was ever handed to you already fixed." He was quiet for a long moment, studying my face like he was waiting for the trick, the catch, the part where I laughed and told him to get back to his mop. When it did not come, something in his shoulders loosened. "Well then," he said, a small crooked smile breaking through. "I suppose I should order some proper tools." Word of the promotion spread through the estate faster than I expected, and within 2 days, it reached the ears of people I had not intended to involve. My chief engineer, a sharp-voiced woman named Priya, requested an urgent meeting, and I could already sense the storm behind her calm expression before she even sat down. "You promoted the janitor over my department," she said, barely containing her frustration. "Do you understand what that signals to the rest of my staff?" "I understand exactly what it signals," I said. "It signals that a man with no formal training solved a problem your team labeled unsolvable, using tools he purchased with his own wages." Her jaw tightened. He got lucky. He got lucky repeatedly, over 3 cycles, without asking for recognition or extra pay, I said. "Explain that to me using the word luck, and I will consider keeping your explanation for entertainment value alone." She had no answer for that, and the silence that followed told me everything I needed to know about how deep the assumptions ran, not just in her, but in every department across every world I owned. Over the following weeks, I began pulling Callum into meetings he had never been invited to before. At first, the engineers treated him with quiet condescension, exchanging glances whenever he spoke, waiting for him to embarrass himself in front of people with advanced degrees from coalition academies. That expectation did not survive long. During one meeting, a proposal came through for an entirely new cooling system for the lower processing plants, priced at an amount that made even my accountants wince. Callum studied the schematics for a full minute in silence while the room waited, restless and impatient. "You do not need a new system," he finally said. "You need to stop running the old one at full output around the clock. Cycle it down during low-demand hours, and it will last another 2 years without failing." An engineer scoffed openly. That is far too simple a solution for a problem this size. Simple does not mean wrong, Callum replied evenly. Sometimes the expensive answer is expensive, because nobody bothered to check the cheap one first. He was right. The savings from that single suggestion covered his new salary for the next 11 years, and after that meeting, the scoffing in the room noticeably disappeared. Months passed, and the change in the estate became impossible to ignore. Systems that used to fail quietly and expensively now ran smoother, cheaper, and longer, because Callum had built a habit into my staff that had never existed before, the habit of actually looking closely before assuming a costly replacement was the only answer. One evening, months after that first night in the maintenance bay, I found myself walking those same corridors again, this time by choice rather than suspicion. Callum was in the same bay, now fitted with proper tools and a small team he had trained himself, laughing quietly with two young technicians while they worked through a diagnostic together. He noticed me in the doorway and straightened slightly out of habit, though the fear from that very first meeting was long gone from his posture now. "Everything running fine, sir," he said. "No surprises tonight." "I have owned 400 worlds," I told him, "and in all that time, I never once thought to ask the person mopping my floors whether he understood the machines better than the people I paid to design them." He smiled, setting his tool down. "Most people never think to ask, sir. That is usually the problem." I stood there a moment longer, watching him return to his work, calm and capable, surrounded by a team he had earned rather than been given. I had built an empire believing that expertise lived only where the right papers said it did. It took one early homecoming, one glowing maintenance bay, and one quiet human with a multi-tool to show me exactly how wrong that belief had always been. We had never truly understood these people. We had simply never let them near the wiring.